Guys, I'm just waiting for more people to join. Then we'll catch up. Oh, 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 oh. Dun, 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 dun. Mm-mm-mm. So this is my first live, so bear with me. Bear with me. I'm just waiting for more people to join in. And then if you let me know where you are from in the chat, know where you are joining from. Dun, 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 dun. Can't believe it's actually ready. It's already Tuesday. Feels like it's going very fast this year. Everything is fast. Everything feels fast at the moment. So let's just keep waiting for others to join. Join me. Sorry if you can hear noises. But I'm really hoping that the live would probably just take probably like 1 hour depending on how it goes, and then we go from there. We move from there. Oh, 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 oh. It's interesting, right? How you go into your 20s and your 30s and you need to start navigating things. Hello. Please, can I know where you are joining from? If you can just tell me where you're joining from in the chat. We're just going to be catching up in this live. Just catching up with you guys. I feel like I've not done live in a while, so I'm just going to be catching up. We're going to be talking, and just feel free to do whatever you want to do in the background because we're basically just going to be chatting. Where are you joining from, please? Hello. If you can put where you're joining from in the chat, would be good. So we know where we are from. Hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I just thought it's best to chat. Thank you. I see someone from UK. I'm also from UK, by the way. I can see an American on the call. If you're just joining, please let me know where you're joining from. We're basically just going to be chatting, talking about life in general. How is everyone doing today? What time is it? Where you are? If you okay, I can see Eden is from West Yorkshire. Nice to meet you. I'm basically just going to be having chit chats and yeah, just having conversations and just talking basically. So how has your day been? Having a good day. Okay, 6:22. Okay, seems like it's the same time over here. Good to know. So we're just going to be talking. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone is feeling good, feeling relaxed. And I hope your day was not as stressful. I think my day was good, so not bad. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, so basically I just want us to come up here to talk about, life, faith, what your fears are, and how we can be navigating like tough seasons. For those that have navigated tough seasons, I don't think I've had any like an extreme tough season that was like really, really bad. But I've had seasons where I felt like, oh my God, how am I going to survive this? Right. So I'm basically just going to be talking about navigating tough seasons, like what we think is the best way to navigate those period, and how we can, best navigate it. I see the football, music, video games, and films. Oh, that's really good. Um, so yeah, so just basically how you navigate like tough seasons, what life is, what are you learning this period? I think that's my next question. What are you learning this period? Is there anything that you are interested, if picked interest in, anything you are learning, anything you feel like you need to pick up, um, anything that you feel like you need to learn? Basically, I think that one thing that we need to know as like individual, as a person, is that regardless of whatever it is that you're going through, you are not alone. And we should also like feel the um we also need to, talk to people when we're going through tough times, right? Or tough seasons, and we should try to like pick up from her tough seasons. What did we learn from there? It's a different thing to just go through a tough time without actually picking up anything from your tough time, when you can actually go through the tough time and learn something from it. That's the point of, going through difficult periods. That's the point of going through difficult seasons. It's not just so that we can, overcome the season. Is also, what is the lesson that I picked up from this season, and how was this season useful to me? How can I learn from this season? How can I also share my knowledge? How can I prevent someone from going the same direction I went? These are things that we need to, pick up from our tough seasons, right? It's beyond just I went through this season. There was a tough time in my life. There was a time where I was going through a difficult situation. There was a time where it was really hard. It's beyond that. It's also, yes, I've gone through this season, but I don't want anyone to also go through that. So I'm going to try to use like my experience to make sure that people don't repeat the same mistake and the mistakes that I made. So those are the things that we need to like think about when we go through difficult times. Not to just keep it and hoard our experience to ourselves. We shouldn't allow people to learn from their mistakes, right? They can also have leverages on your experience. Let them also leverage from your experience and learn from there. They don't have to actually learn from their own mistakes, because there's some mistakes that are very, mistakes that one cannot really come out of, right? If you're just joining, please let us know where you're joining from. Like I said, today we're just going to be catching up. I feel like I've not really connected with my, subscribers, so I'm using this time to like connect with you guys. And I'm asking, the question basically is, what are you learning this period? And how are you navigating your 20s, your 30s? Like, how, if of course you're in your 30s or your 20s, like, how are you navigating this period? But first, I'd like to know where you're joining us from. If you've not commented before, please leave your comment and let us know where you're joining from. We're basically just going to be catching up, just talking around, affairs, adulting. I like to say adulting, but being an adult, what does it really mean to be an adult? Is it just the responsibilities, or is it beyond that? So what is it that adulting means to you? What does it mean to be an adult basically? And how do you navigate like difficult times as an adult? Now, sometimes we feel like as an adult you can, excuse me, if we feel like as an adult you can, just keep things to yourself, but really, what's the best way to navigate difficult situation as an adult? I feel like sometimes when we are trying to like navigate tough times, right? We don't want to inform anyone. We don't want anybody to know about it because we feel, oh, I have my own problems. They have their own problem. And if I'm telling them about my problem, they probably feel like I feel like maybe I'm being a burden to them, but it's not always the case. Just because you feel something does not mean that what you're actually thinking is right. So you need to be able to actually go on to meet the person, share your problem as an adult, like let people know what you're going through. Don't just keep it to yourself. And that's what makes adulthood a bit difficult because we think that we have to solve all the problems ourselves. We don't have to solve it ourselves. You don't have to go through life carrying, the pains and the burden yourself. And there's this thing we say problem shared is half solved. Like even if that problem is not completely solved, right? Sharing that problem makes you a bit light, makes it a bit easy for you to continue and carry on with life. When I was a teenager, I was in a hurry to become an adult. I was so much in a hurry to become an adult. And now I'm in my 20s and it's like, oh my God, what's going on? Where is this year going to? And why is it so speedy? But it comes with life. As teenagers, we want to quickly grow, like become so big and start to make money and be less under the control of our parents. But can we actually leave our parents really? Like, do they really let us go freely? Like, well, those are the questions that we ask ourselves as teenagers. We want to be there. We want to basically, make sure that we grow quickly. Like I just want to be done. I just want to be done with schools. As a child, you're thinking of, okay, I just want to be done with my exam. And then the next thing you're like, I just want to become an adult. I just want to quickly start making money so I can start paying bills. But one thing we don't know is that adults right now are saying, oh my God, I wish that I enjoyed my childhood more. I wish that I had the opportunity to do this. I wish I had the opportunity to do that. But as a child, we were in a hurry. And now we're in our 20s, we're in our 30s, we're in our 40s, 50s, and we're like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. How am I doing it? How am I navigating? How am I going to actually navigate this phase? Feels like every day goes very fast. But I think one thing that we probably need to tell ourselves is, try to give yourself grace, right? Not everyone has it figured out. Everyone is just trying to figure out things as the day comes, as it goes by. Everyone is trying to figure out things, right? So don't be so hard on yourself when you're trying to navigate things. If you find it that it's like becoming very difficult for you, I'm sure that there is someone that would have gone through that. And if it's like it's feeling like, oh, it's just you, maybe try to talk to somebody. Navigating, especially when you get to like 20s, right? There is that pressure. Now you get to 30s, there is a pressure. Like, oh my God, when am I going to buy my first house? Oh my God, when am I going to establish my organizations? Like, we have all these desires that we fantasized about as a child. It felt like, oh, maybe when I'm 25, I'll buy this house. When I'm 30, I'll get this organization. But become 30, and it's like, what's going on? I've not gotten this house, I've not gotten this car. If you're just joining, thank you for joining. We're talking about navigating life in your 20s. We're talking about faiths, we're talking about fears, we're talking about everything around being an adult, right? So if you're just joining, please leave a comment in the chat. Let me know where you're joining from, and let me know what you're learning in this season. So yeah, back to what I was saying. And then we become like adults and there is a lot to think about, right? You're wondering all of these things that I fantasized about, all of these things that I thought about as a child, how do I achieve them? Like I thought as a child it was going to be very easy, but now I'm an adult and it's looking like it's complicated. But one thing you need to tell yourself is you need to give yourself grace. You need to be patient with yourself. If you're just joining, thank you for joining. Please let me know where you're joining from in the chat. We are talking about navigating life in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. Basically, just navigating life, right? And yeah, I would like to know where you're joining from, what you're learning in this season, and how this season is for you. So back to it. I feel like I always just give a break in transmission when I see someone join. But yeah, you need to get to a phase where you need to get to a phase where you tell yourself, this is actually the point in life that I am. I've gotten to that phase and I need to accept my situation. Acceptance is the first step. Acceptance, like, okay, truly as a child I dreamt to have all of this thing at a certain age, and I'm here and I'm just not getting it. I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding it. Like, how are people achieving this at a certain age? But if you're putting pressure on yourself, that's when it gets more difficult. That's when it's like, oh my God, what's going on? Am I actually going to achieve this thing that I thought I was going to get? So learn to give yourself grace, extend grace to yourself. In as much as we had all of those fantasies as a child, and um get things at certain age, and then we get to that age, it's like, what is going on? Well, you need to trust that it's God's timing, right? And maybe as a child, you didn't really have the full picture of the obstacles that you face in life. Because honestly, not every one of us actually thought that. We actually thought as a child it was going to be easy to get things, right? That you just feel like, oh my God, I'm going to have this mansion, I'm going to have this castle, I'm going to have my organization, I'm going to become very important, I'm going to just be a blessing to many people. And then you grow up and the reality is like, yeah, although I have all of these dreams down, how do I actually achieve them? These are the obstacles that I need to face that I don't even know that I'm going to face, right? But then you get to, like, you start to face those obstacles, and these obstacles you didn't even know that you're going to face them. You know, when Joseph had a dream that his brothers were bowing down to him, that the sun and the moon, basically it wasn't just his brothers, he just interpreted the dream that way, right? But he kind of understood that it was his brothers that were bowing to him in that dream. So when he had the dream, he sensed it and he knew that he was going to become a great person. So when he had the dream, he never saw the obstacles that he was going to face. He just kind of sensed that, oh yeah, I'm going to be a great person. He didn't see the obstacles there. He just knew he was going to be a great person. And so sometimes these are the things, that the mistakes that we make, right? We just know that we are going to be great, but we don't know how we are going to achieve it. And then we get to that stage and we're like, oh my God, how am I going to pass this obstacle? I just knew I was going to be great in life. I didn't know I was going to face this obstacle, this and that. But yeah, you're already facing the obstacle. So you need to just think about, how can I face the obstacle? Right now that I'm here, now that I'm no longer a child, now that I'm getting to this age, I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 40, I need money to take care of myself. I need to start thinking about, being a blessing to other people, not just myself. How then can I overcome the obstacles that I face? How then can I, you know, be better? How can I be a better version of myself? How can I be more responsible? These are the things that we did not think about as a child, right? These are things that we didn't have to worry about as a child. As a child, we just thought about, mommy is going to go buy food, daddy's going to go buy food. Teenagers, as a teen, you didn't really think about all of the problems that probably your parents were going to face. But now you become an adult in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, and you begin to see that life is beyond just wishing. You have to actually take steps. You have to actually be intentional about, getting better, reading books, making strategic relationship, seeing that your parents are actually right after all. Like, they're just trying to be protective and, make sure that you make the right decision. Like, now as an adult is when all of those realities start to sink. When you start to see that, okay, you're going to have children, you're going to have family, and you have to make right decision. Nobody's going to make decision for you. And you begin to see that there are consequences to every decision you make, whether good or bad consequences. There are consequences to decisions that you make. So now is the time where we start to see all of those things happening, that, oh my God, so this decision has this consequence, right? I can't just decide to make any decision. I need to think about the implication of that decision. I need to be able to think about it and know that every of my decision has consequences. I can't just make decisions without thinking. These are the things that we begin to think about. And then we also start to see the place of God in our life. We start to see the importance of God in our life. Like, okay, yeah, although my parents told me to love God, but now I'm beginning to find God myself. I'm beginning to see how God is of importance to me in every phase of my life. Like, this is the point in time where you start to see. This is the point in time where you start to see that every day counts, right? So although it might feel a bit overwhelming, but every day will now begin to count, and every day will start to make sense to you. You start to see that you have to be intentional about every day, right? If you're just joining, thank you for joining. We're talking about life, navigating your 20s, navigating your 30s. We're basically just catching up. If you have not commented where you're from, please leave your comments in the chat and I'll be reading it. And I'll also ask the question about, like, what are you learning in this period? How do you think, how are you doing it? Are you just winging adulthood? Do you feel like you are getting it? Do you feel like you're on track? Do you feel like you're just doing it as it comes, like as the day goes, you're just winging it, right? And I was basically just saying how we wished as a child, how things were easy as a child, because we're not really responsible for anything. We're just probably eating, sleeping, and thinking about our parents. And now as an adult, you have to be intentional about it. You have to be deliberate about being a serious person in life. You have to just be serious, basically. And although 20s and 30s might feel like, I don't know, I also think that society has kind of put pressure on us in such a way that we think that, when you're in your 20s is like a bad time. When you're in your 30s, you feel like that's the end of the world. For instance, right? Excuse me, a lady in her 30s will probably think that, excuse me, for instance, a lady in her 30s will probably start feeling, oh my God, I'm already getting old. Or a lady in her late 20s, I start to feel like, oh my God, I'm already getting old. But who puts the pressure? Society put the pressure, right? And so all of those pressures by whether society, pressures put on yourself by yourself, you start to see that all of these pressures don't really, really matter. And the side effect of all of those pressures is that you're already going through adulting, and then you're adding societal pressure to it. Just makes it a bit more complex. Because if we're already navigating our 20s, our 30s, we're just doing the best we can. Most of us are just like, oh my God, help me. I don't know what I'm doing. Taking one day at a time. And then you're putting societal pressures on yourself as well. So this is a time where you just need to be intentional and deliberate about the kind of things that you see on social media. Like what you watch, are they actually blessing you? What you see on social media, is it what is making you to feel like you're not doing well? Those are the things that we need to be careful about. And in as much as social media is a good place, like it's helped a lot of people, there are advantages to it. There are also disadvantages that we need to watch out, because there's that way that somehow, right, we begin to compare ourselves. Like, oh my God, I'm 25, I'm 26, I'm 30, I'm 35, I'm 45, and I've not achieved this at this point. And I'm seeing somebody that's probably like 18 years old, and the person the person's already probably established. And wondering, like, what did I do wrong? And it's just subtle comparison, subtle, oh my God, I'm just behind it, like, oh my God, this, that, oh my God, that. Just what social media can do. So although social media is a blessing, you also need to be careful that you're not using social media to compare yourself, like you have to be intentional, making sure that you're not comparing yourself with anyone. Everyone has their race in life. And as long as you're not, you know, just sitting there, not doing anything. No, you're working, you're intentional, you are doing things that you ought to do at the right time, and you are taking your life seriously. Then just trust that God will bless the work of your hands, right? Sometimes we worry because we feel like there's a deadline that we give to ourselves that we've not crossed. Sometimes, right? I think one thing we do probably as adults, if you're just joining, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Please let me know where you are connecting from. I'm basically talking about navigating life in your 20s, your 30s, and faith, fears. What are you learning now? What do you think you need to do to get to where you are? Have you ever sat down to think about have you ever sat down to think about what you need to do to attain that goal? Yes, you have the goal, but have you sat down to think about what is needed to make that goal come to life? So back to what I was saying, I was talking about, comparing yourself. How is the way you can you don't even know, you're not deliberately doing it, but you're one way or the other comparing yourself on social media by, checking, seeing that people are way ahead of you, people your age mates, people your age group, people below you, like sort of in age. You can see that they are doing things and you're wondering, oh my God, when will I get this? When will I get that? And I was just saying that we should be careful not to compare ourselves. The Bible says that those that compare themselves are not wise. So you want to be careful not to compare yourself. Every one of us have a different phase in life. We have a different race to run, and we have different things that we ought to achieve in life. So your timing is not my timing, my timing is not your timing. Do not put pressure on yourself, right? I'm in the United Kingdom. I can see somebody asking which country are you. I'm in the United Kingdom. I'm in England, UK. So yeah, back to what I was saying, do not put pressure on yourself unnecessarily. Like, you don't deserve that. Don't put pressure on yourself. Pressuring yourself is just going to make things worse. You need to understand that every one of us have different rates in life. What would happen to me is different from what will happen to the other person. What the other person will go through will be different experiences, right? Because if you even call three people and you show three people the same thing, they would have different interpretations to it. So which is why you should not compare your race with another person's race. Don't compare your life with another person's life. I understand that navigating our 20s can be a bit, difficult, but you want to trust that you're actually you want to trust that you're actually, taking your time. You want to trust that you're actually taking your time and not putting yourself under pressure, and that you know that God is with you on this race, right? You know God is with you on this race. So adulthood, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And if you need to cry, you cry. If you need to pray, you pray. If you need to talk to someone, you talk to someone. And it's very important that you talk to someone. If you are going, nobody has the manual to managing adulting. I don't think they give you a book to say this is how you manage your adulthood. I feel like most of us just appear into it and we're like, da surprise, surprise. You are now an adult and this is how you have to live. That's how it happens to some of us, right? We don't get manual, we don't get schooled about, okay, this is how you manage your life going on from here. We don't get that. So when you just appear as an adult, it's just like, surprise, you're an adult, now be responsible, now make good decisions, now make good friends, now be intentional about your life. Remember that every day counts. Every decision that you make has a consequence. You can't just make decision without thinking about the consequence of that decision, because there is a tendency that your decision might backfire, right? If you don't know what backfire means, your decision might have great consequences that you're not able to correct. So when you think about your actions, think about the consequences of that action, and make sure that you are resting. I think one thing again is because we feel like we need to make money as an adult, we don't want to rest. We think resting is bad. I actually used to think that resting was bad. Like, I feel like maybe if you're resting, maybe you're being lazy and all of that. But it's not true. If you are tired, you need to rest. If you are tired, you need to rest. If you feel like sleeping, you rest. Just make sure that you are taking a nap. Make sure that you are resting. Because if you don't rest, eventually your body will tell that you need rest. So you need to be able to rest when you're going through difficult times. In fact, just normally you should learn to rest, because without resting you're going to break down. And these are things that we need to think about as an adult. As an adult, we need to start navigating, okay, how do I take care of my health? How do I take care of my finances? How do I get better managing my relationship with people? I think that's something we need to talk about too, because as an adult, you become very, very busy. It becomes so busy that it becomes very difficult to manage like friendships. Becomes very difficult to manage like relationship, because you have a lot to do. You're worrying about, okay, I'm worrying about my work, when I come back, things to do, sort my children, sort my, like, there's a lot to think about as an adult, right? But you also need to consider that you need strategic relationship in your life, and you also need to be able to maintain those relationships. You can't just say I have a relationship and you're not maintaining that relationship. The relationship will not last. So these are things that we also need to navigate around adulthood, right? So yeah, I'm talking about, if you're just joining, thank you for joining. I'm sure most of you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about navigating life in your 20s, navigating life in your 30s. I'm talking about fears. I'm talking about adulthood. I'm talking about faith. So that's all, that's everything I'm talking about. I would just keep reminding everyone as I come, but basically just um, catching up around like life in general. How are you navigating your 20s, your 30s, your 40s? I don't know what most of you are on the call, but how are you navigating this phase? What is helping you, push through? What is your biggest motivation this season, basically? Like, what makes you wake up? What makes you push through? What is your biggest motivation? What are like the values that you hold on to that helps you navigate lives, that help you navigate life? What's that thing that stands out? All right, that helps you navigate life. And I was also talking about like there is that tendency to get very busy and not think about your health, think about strategic relationship, think about your finances, think about the fact that your actions have consequences. If you're just joining, I'm talking about navigating life in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, talking about faith, talking about fears, talking about just being an adult basically. And how for most of us it was like surprise, surprise, an adult, right? No, I'm not from America. That sound like an American. I'm Nigerian. For those of you that don't know, I'm Nigerian. I'm from Nigeria. um so yeah, basically that's what I'm talking about. And what are the values that you hold on to? What values make you a better person, right? And how do you manage your adulting phase? How do you manage being a responsible adult? How do you manage, life as a whole? How do you, manage, like, become a responsible person in the society? These are the things I'm talking about. And I also mentioned that although we had, we had fantasies as children, as kids, what we intend to have as a child, and then eventually we grow up and realize that, okay, adulthood is not exactly as it seems, right? And basically, if you're just joining, I'm talking about navigating life in your 20s, navigating life in your 30s, and adulting as a whole, right? Um, so yeah, as we're saying, so being an adult basically just means that you have to be responsible for yourself, responsible for others as well. If you have kids, you have people that you need to, look at, manage them, take care of, fend for. Some people might also depend on you, and it might be a lot of stress on you, but you need to, manage all of those stress that comes with it. You need to be able to manage them, because being an adult means being responsible, right? Being an adult means being a responsible person. And if you're just joining, thank you for joining. I'm talking about navigating life in your 20s, your 30s. I'm talking about adulthood, talking about, strategic relationship, fears. And then I asked the question, I said, what motivates you? What is keeping you awake every night? What makes you wake up every morning? What is the actual thing that motivates you? I'd like to read in the chat if you can just type it. What are your values? What are your values? What are the things that you hold on to? I would like to read that in the comments if you don't mind sharing. What makes you, you, right? What are you learning this season? What have you learned in your tough times? What are the things that you are picking from other adults that is making you a better adult? That's what I'm talking about. So those are the things I'm talking about. And yeah, just how you can become like a better adult, a better version of yourself, and how you need to be responsible as an adult. And there are just many things that you need to think about as an adult. If you're just joining, I'm talking about navigating life in your 20s, navigating life in your 30s. And I asked a question about, like, what's that thing that keeps you going? What's the thing that actually keeps you going? What makes you wake up in the morning? What's that thing that motivates you to do what you do? How are you navigating your 20s and your 30s? How are you navigating it? Let me know what you think. Hi, if you're just joining. So I just asked the question, how are you navigating life in your 20s, your 30s? What's that thing that makes you you? What makes you wake up in the morning? What makes you go to bed at night? What's that thing that motivates you to do what you do?